All right, let's talk about atmospheric perspective. So we talked about 1 point perspective where everything comes to 1 point, like you're walking down a street and you see that little point, everything gets smaller as it goes to that point. And then we talked about 2 point perspective, which would be like if you came to a corner and you had to choose left or right, then you have like 1 point to the left, 1 point to the right, and how things get smaller as they extend out into those points. But now we're going to talk about atmospheric perspective. And this will be posted on Polaris as well. But it talks about how as things move back in space, they get lighter in value, lesser detail, smaller in scale and size, and where they sit on the page. So we're going to go through all of those things together first. Oh, wrong worksheet. I'm going to go to this one. All right, this is the first handout, and I wanted to just kind of show everyone all the information about it. So the first thing is position. So where do things sit on the physical page itself, like on your drawing? Where do they sit in position if they are in the foreground, middle ground, or background? So if you are sitting at your desk and you're looking across your room, your desk is going to be in your foreground. And that, if you look, if you had to draw like a line, an eye level line, is going to be lower on the page. So things in the foreground, and I'm going to draw just a little heart. Not a very good heart, but I'm just going to draw a little heart, is typically in the front. As things move further back in space, they tend to sit higher up on the page. And you see that in these examples that we have, where things like your trees are in your foreground, they're lower on the page. And then as we start to build up those layers, they're going to look higher. It's kind of this like building up a deck of cards. The same concept falls into place when we start to talk about overlap. So when you're drawing things and something is in the background, you're not going to see all of the detail of that. So you're not going to draw the whole object. You want to draw what's closest to you first and then overlap and build things behind it. So if I am drawing something in the foreground and it's close up, I'm going to draw that up close. And then when I get to the middle ground, those are going to start to come behind the things in the foreground. And I'm not going to see all of that detail. Some things are going to be, you're going to draw what you see and not make up things that you don't see. Same thing when you get to the background. They start to overlap. And again, I'm not doing very great hearts here, just kind of quick so that you can see how things overlap. And you're going to get that point of overlap as things move further back. Because things in the background, they're in the background. The things that are closest to you are going to be what you see in all the detail. Now, as things move back into space, or the further they get away from you, the smaller they get. So if I were standing really close to you, I'm going to be large, and then the further I move back, the smaller I get. If you've ever seen those like videos or pictures that people take where like they're pinching someone else who's like standing really far away and almost like putting them in like a cup or moving them, or they're pretending to step on them, like because they're doing this really fun perceived space where it looks like a giant, but really the foot is up close and the person is really far away. As things move further back, they get smaller. So the closer it is, the bigger. And then it gets smaller and smaller as it moves away. If you look at the examples that are on the worksheet, you'll see that as things move further back in space, they almost get this like haze or this fog because things lose detail and value. In color, even if you're looking outside today, the things that are closest to you are going to be much more vibrant, much more intense in color and value. And then as they move away, those details start to blend and they start to fade into the landscape around. So as things move further back, they're going to look lighter. So the same thing as things are closer, they're going to be darker. And as they move away, they're going to get lighter. So I kind of kept with the same thing as the size here. And last but not least, detail. If I'm looking at things on my desk right now, like I have a ruler on my desk, it's right here. Hello. And when I'm looking at that ruler, I can see all of the marks on the ruler, all the little dashes. I can look at the pencil. I could read the writing on the Sharpie marker that sits in front of me on my desk. When things are close to you, you see that detail. So if I had some highly well-drawn flowers here in the front, you get it. I got like my little middles of the flowers and I drew all my petals, I'm going to see all the detail of those flowers up close. It's really gonna, if I draw like a nice one, actually that's still not nice, but you're gonna start to see, because I'm trying to do this quickly, much more detail when it's up close. As things move further back in space, they start to kind of simplify or lose that detail. So now I'm having like little clumps of flowers that are a little bit more simplified. And then the further back, if this was like a field of flowers, you're not going to see the detail of the flower. You're going to see like little spots or specks of color versus seeing the petals and seeing the middle. Whereas if it was close, you would see like the dots in the middle of the flower and the texture in the petals and the bugs that land on the flower and how the different petals fold. So things up close are going to have much more detail than those things that are further away from you, and much more vibrant color. So what we did in class is we just kind of brainstormed some ideas for what we can do for a final project. And while these are some really cool examples, you're not limited to just doing a natural landscape with trees and mountains. Actually, I encourage you to try something completely different. You have the option of doing a cityscape, a nature scene, an urban landscape, futuristic, fairy tale. The list goes on and on. We talked in class today, like maybe you really like Disney World and you want to go do something that has like the Epcot globe. Maybe I'll do like some Mickey ears on here and the monorail. And like there's a parking lot, and then you've got like the Magic Castle in the background. And you can really play around with picking something that you're passionate about. Maybe you do a concert and you've got, you know, the hand with like a ticket in the front, and then you've got all the people for the concert. And then up here you've got like the stage. And then on the stage you have like the person. And then behind that person, you have the rest of the stage and the curtain or the drum set or whatever kind of concert you go to. So think about how you can do something like this will be much more detailed and your darker value versus, you know, this stage color that's going to be super light because it's further in the back. Another example that we talked about was like, and I drew a really cheesy giraffe just for fun. But maybe I have a giraffe and I've got like a tree top that the giraffe eats from. And then I've got like a tall grass field and I've got 2 layers of it. And then I've got like Pride Rock and Simba's on here. And then I've got like a field in the background. And then I've got like a sun. You're thinking about how you're building up those different layers. And as things go further back, how they're going to get lighter. But you can do something from a video game. You could do something from a movie. You could do something from a play, from a life experience, a place you've been. Like I have been to St. Louis more times than I can count. So I can do something with the Arch and some stuff with St. Louis. Like the Arch sits right by their, like one of their buildings, like one of their big city buildings back there. And then I got the Arch and I can do like the Mississippi River and I could do like a boat on there. Mind you, I'm just doing some doodles, but you can do something fantasy. You can do something realistic. People were looking at, you know, Dr. Seuss even. There was some, you know, TV show and movie references. It could be a space theme. It can be an underwater theme. But the biggest thing to remember is you have the freedom to kind of pick your topic. We want to aim for around 6 different layers at a minimum. 6 layers at a minimum. And we are not using just white or black. So our lightest will not be white and our darkest will not be black. It'll be color, the whole thing. So I want you to think about how you have the freedom to pick what you're going to draw. Pick something that you want to draw. Because when you pick something just because you have to do it, you're going to look at the project and not be as excited about it. But if you really like Friends and you want to do the coffee shop of Friends, you're going to put more effort into that coffee shop of Friends because you like the show and you want it to look good. The other thing we'll practice with this is control of our paint, clean lines. You're going to do more than one layer on your paint. Like I do not want to see any like splotchy see-through paint. We are going to go over it. We're going to work on creating an opaque layer. We're going to work on creating detail, clean edges so things don't bleed, coloring it incompletely. So we're going to really step it up craftsmanship wise. Whether you're at home or in person, there's a lot that you have to do to this. So pick something you want to draw. Tomorrow we're going to just take a day break, kind of a brain break. It's the end of the semester. We're going to start fresh on Monday with getting into this project a little bit more.